All right. I have a cool story to tell with you guys. So last night I was like, I knew what I was going to do for Team Devo, but I was like, I don't have any like stories. And if I do, you guys have heard them all because we've been here forever. So I was like, I have nothing. And then on the way to church, I was like, oh my gosh. And it's about Seamus. I hadn't even told Seamus yet. So I did, though. I told him before I told you guys. So, but like a year ago, we went to a birthday party for a friend of mine. Her little boy is turning 2 something. But she also has an older daughter, so she like had some of her friends there. And if you've ever had a conversation with Seamus, you know that he's not afraid to say whatever he's thinking, even if the situation might be like, oh, I don't know. So anyways, in the middle of this birthday party, Seamus decides that it's the perfect opportunity to ask this little girl if she knows Jesus. And she's like, no. He was like, really? And she was like, no, we don't go to church. He was like, nobody in your family goes to church? Like, he's shocked, right? And she's like, well, my grandma does. And he was like, you should go with your grandma every Sunday. And he said that he told her everything that he knows about Jesus and dying on the cross and all that. And I was like, good job, buddy. He's telling me this afterwards. I'm like, that's awesome. I was like, did she look like she felt awkward? And he's like, I don't know. But I was like, okay. He's more brave than me. But anyways, that was like a year ago. And my friend, whose house we were at, we had a play date on Thursday. And we were just chit-chatting. And our kids are fighting over toys. And she goes, oh. She's like, I wanted to tell you. She's like, do you remember my friend and her family? And Seamus was talking to her daughter. And I was like, oh, yeah. And she went, they started going to church. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah. They go to church now, and they're doing really, really, really good. And I was like, it's so cute. Which will bring me right into my Devo. 1 Corinthians 3, 5 through 7 says, this is Paul talking. What then is Apollos? What is Paul? They are servants through whom you believed, and each has the role the Lord has given. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So then neither one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. So God uses different people for different things. We all have gifts and talents. Some of us are great at telling people about Jesus. Some of us are great at smiling at the info booth or at the front door or cleaning the bathrooms or running the cameras. Every single thing that we do in this building is for God's glory and for his kingdom. Even if you think, oh, well, what I volunteer in isn't really that important, it is, because if you weren't here on a Sunday, everybody goes, what are we going to do? Because you're important, because God's given you a talent and a gift to serve in his house. We're all planters and waterers. And, sometimes that can feel like a heavy mantle to carry, like, oh, I'm supposed to be planting seeds, I'm supposed to be watering, I'm supposed to be, like, helping people. And if you're, like, introverted like me, that feels like a heavy mantle. But the good news that Paul tells us in this verse is that it's not up to us. God does all the heavy lifting. All we have to do is plant the little seed. All we have to do is sprinkle the water. And God does all of the growing. We might not always get to see the growth or the harvest that comes from the seeds that we plant or the water that we spill. The people whose lives we touch, we don't always get to see what happens, right? But we can be confident knowing that God does the work. He's faithful. His word doesn't return void. We just have to be obedient and serving and planting and watering, and he's going to produce a harvest in those people's lives. And that's exciting. And I don't know about you, but I feel excited this morning that we're all here with a purpose and a mission, doing each little thing that we volunteer in to bring more people into the kingdom of God. And that's all that matters.